The price of loyalty. The artificial gravity in Outpost 47's maintenance bay flickered for the third time that week, causing Maya Rodriguez's carefully arranged tools to float momentarily before clattering back to the deck. She caught a wrench mid-air with practiced ease, barely looking up from the complex array of circuits she was repairing. After 15 years of keeping ships flying in the outer colonies, she'd learned to expect the unexpected. The hangar's massive doors groaned open, admitting a sleek diplomatic vessel bearing the marks of recent combat. Maya's enhanced optical implant automatically scanned the ship's hull, highlighting stress fractures and weapon impacts. This wasn't the usual diplomatic courier, someone had been in a serious fight. Rodriguez. Chief Engineer Patel's voice echoed across the bay. Priority repair order. Captain Karev's ship needs to be flight-ready in 6 hours. Maya's cybernetic eye zoomed in on the ship's registration markings. Karev, the name triggered something in her memory. She'd heard stories about the alien captain, one of the few Drachnid officers to serve in the joint human-alien fleet. They said he'd saved 3 human colonies during the border wars, going against his own government's orders. As she approached the vessel, its entry ramp descended with a soft hiss. The figure that emerged was imposing even by Drachnid standards, nearly 8 feet tall, with iridescent scales and 4 arms bearing ceremonial military markings. Captain Karev's biosynthetic eye, similar to Maya's own implant, fixed upon her with an intensity that suggested he was doing his own scanning. "You must be the mechanic," he said, his translator rendering his words in perfectly accented English. "Your reputation precedes you, Ms. Rodriguez. They say you can fix anything that flies." Maya kept her expression neutral. "Most things. Depends on who's asking and why." Her response was deliberately casual. She'd learned the hard way not to be too eager to help, no matter how decorated the client. Karev's facial plates shifted in what Maya recognized as a Drachnid smile. "Direct. Good. I need someone who values truth over protocol." He glanced around the hangar before continuing in a lower voice. "This isn't just about repairs. I'm investigating a disappearance, one that certain individuals would prefer remained uninvestigated." Maya's cybernetic eye caught the subtle tremor in Karev's lower left hand, a sign of stress in his species. Whatever was going on, it had the veteran captain rattled. 3 days ago, Karev continued, a human scientist named Dr. Marcus Way vanished from Research Station Epsilon. His last known transmission mentioned a breakthrough in cross-species neural interface technology. Shortly after, all records of his research were erased. Maya's hands tightened on her toolkit. Neural interface technology, the same field that had gotten her blacklisted from major corporate work 5 years ago, when she'd refused to help weaponize it against civilian populations. The official story, Karev said, is that Dr. Wade suffered a mental breakdown and deserted his post. But I found this in the station's maintenance logs. He projected a hologram showing a series of corrupt data packets. To most observers, they would appear as random noise, but Maya recognized the pattern. "That's a ghost protocol," she said, her professional detachment slipping. "High-level military encryption, designed to hide evidence of forced computer access. Someone went to a lot of trouble to make Dr. Wei disappear." "Precisely." Karev deactivated the hologram. "I need your help, Ms. Rodriguez. Not just to repair my ship, but to find out what happened. Your neural interface expertise, combined with your unofficial status, makes you uniquely qualified." Maya studied the damaged ship, her mind already calculating repair times and power requirements. But the real equations running through her head were about risk and consequence. Getting involved in this kind of investigation could cost her what little security she'd rebuilt here on Outpost 47. Then again, she'd sworn after the corporate incident that she'd never again stand by while neural interface technology was misused. "6 hours to get your ship flying," she said finally. "But if we're really doing this, I have conditions. I need access to your ship's full systems, no blocked sectors. And I want to know everything you know about Dr. Wei's research. Karev's biosynthetic eye glowed with approval. Agreed. Though I should warn you, this investigation has already cost several people their lives. The forces we're dealing with have influence at the highest levels of both human and Drachnid government. Maya allowed herself a grim smile as she pulled out her diagnostic scanner. Good thing I don't work for either of them anymore. As she began her inspection of the ship's damaged systems, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into something much bigger than a simple disappearance. The Ghost Protocol, the neural interface connection, the joint human-alien cover-up, it all pointed to something that could shake the foundations of interstellar society. But first, she had a ship to fix. One problem at a time, that's how you survived in the outer colonies. Maya activated her full suite of diagnostic tools and got to work, aware that Captain Karev was watching her with an intensity that suggested he was betting more than just his ship on her skills. The real question was, what exactly was she betting in return? Shadows in the void. The repair bay's environmental systems struggled to keep up with the heat generated by Maya's welding torch as she sealed the last compromised section of Karev's ship hull. Sparks cascaded around her, casting dancing shadows across the hangar walls. Her cybernetic eye continuously monitored the molecular bonding process, ensuring each weld would hold under the stresses of faster-than-light travel. 3 minutes until shift change, the station's AI announced overhead. Maya ignored it. She'd learned long ago that the best discoveries happened after hours, when fewer eyes were watching. The ship's neural interface system had revealed something unusual during her diagnostic scan, a hidden subroutine buried deep in the communication protocols. To most mechanics, it would have appeared as standard emergency broadcast code. But Maya had spent years working with this technology, and she recognized the signature of military-grade quantum encryption. Find something interesting. Karev's voice came from behind her. The Drachnid captain moved with surprising silence for his size. Maya finished the weld before responding. Your ship's been modified. Recent work, high-level stuff. The kind of changes that don't show up in any official maintenance logs. Karev's facial plates shifted into a grimace. Dr. Wei's work. He insisted on installing some special equipment before his disappearance. Said it was vital to his research. Research that got him vanished, Maya reminded him, packing away her tools. Have you decoded the encrypted data packets yet? No. Our best cryptographers couldn't crack it. But perhaps. He left the suggestion hanging. Maya understood. Her neural implant, though officially registered as a basic maintenance interface, had been extensively modified during her corporate days. It was capable of processing algorithms that would make military AI systems jealous. She established a direct connection to the ship's systems, feeling the familiar tingle as her consciousness expanded into the digital realm. The encrypted data felt different from standard military codes, it was organic, almost alive, adapting to her probe attempts. This is unlike anything I've seen, she muttered, her organic eye closed in concentration. It's not just encrypted, it's learning. A sudden surge of energy through the neural link caused Maya to stagger. Warning messages flashed across her cybernetic vision as foreign code attempted to infiltrate her implant security protocols. Karev caught her before she fell. What happened? The encryption, it's not just protecting data. It's protecting something active. Something that's still running in your ship's systems. Maya disconnected from the neural interface, her hands shaking slightly. Dr. Wei wasn't just researching cross-species neural interfaces. He was creating something new. Something that could think for itself. A loud clang from the other side of the hangar interrupted them. Maya's enhanced vision caught a glimpse of movement in the shadows, a figure in station security uniform ducking behind a cargo container. We're being watched, she whispered to Karev. The captain's lower arms tensed, moving closer to his concealed weapons. We need to leave. Now. If they're monitoring us here. They know we found something, Maya finished. She quickly gathered her most essential tools. My quarters. I have a secure terminal there. We can dash. The station's lights suddenly went dark, emergency power casting everything in a dim red glow. Warning klaxons began to sound. Attention all personnel, the station AI announced. Security breach detected in Sector 7. Implementing quarantine protocols. Maya's blood ran cold. Sector 7, exactly where they were standing. This was no coincidence. They're trying to lock us in, Karev growled, already moving toward his ship. We need to dash. The sound of multiple boots on metal cut him off. Armed figures in unmarked combat suits were pouring into the hangar from both entrances, their weapons trained on Maya and Karev. Stand down and prepare for questioning, a synthesized voice commanded. This is a Level 1 security operation. Maya's mind raced. Level 1 meant highest authority, either military intelligence or something even more secretive. The kind of people who could make a scientist disappear without a trace. She felt Karev's presence at her back, heard the subtle whir of his own combat implants activating. They were surrounded, outgunned, and trapped in a sealed hangar. The smart play would be to surrender, to live and fight another day. But Maya hadn't survived this long by playing it smart. Her cybernetic eye had already mapped the hangar's power distribution network. One carefully placed surge in the right junction box would overload the emergency containment systems. It would also fry half her implant circuits, but right now that seemed like a reasonable price for survival. Captain, she said quietly, her hand moving to her toolkit, how good is your ship's inertial dampening system? Good enough, he replied, understanding in his voice. But the startup sequence takes 40 seconds. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. Give me 10. The next few moments were a blur of action. Maya's overload surge plunged the hangar into total darkness, her implant screaming in protest as she pushed it beyond safe operating parameters. The armed figure's night vision was worse than useless as electromagnetic interference filled the air. She felt Karev grab her with two of his arms, the other two providing covering fire as they sprinted for his ship. Bullets and energy weapons fire filled the air around them, but the darkness and confusion worked in their favor. The ship's entry ramp felt like salvation under her feet. Maya's hands flew over the control panels, bypassing safety protocols and forcing emergency power to the engines. Behind her, Karev sealed the airlock just as the hangar's emergency lights sputtered back to life. Hold on to something, Maya warned, ramming the engine controls to maximum. The ship's protest at such rough treatment was drowned out by the sound of the hangar's atmospheric containment field failing as they burst through it into open space. As Outpost 47 fell away behind them, Maya finally allowed herself to breathe. Her implant was badly damaged, half its functions offline, but she was alive. They both were. That, Karev said with what sounded almost like admiration, was not in your official service record. Maya managed a weak laugh as she began plotting a course away from the station. Yeah, well, neither was most of my life. She looked at the captain. You realize we just became fugitives from whatever organization that was back there. True. Karev's facial plates arranged themselves in what Maya was learning to recognize as his version of a determined expression. But we also confirmed something important. Dr. Wei's research wasn't just theoretical. He created something that powerful people want to keep hidden. Something worth killing for. Maya nodded, her organic eye fixed on the star field ahead while her damaged cybernetic one struggled to process the encrypted data they'd stolen. The question is, what do we do about it? We find him, Karev said simply. Before they do. And before whatever he created falls into the wrong hands. As they accelerated toward the darkness between stars, Maya couldn't help but wonder if they hadn't just made the biggest mistake of their lives. But then again, as her old mentor used to say, the biggest mistakes often led to the most important discoveries. The hidden colony. The descent through the gas giant's turbulent atmosphere pushed Karev's ship to its limits. Maya's hands danced across the controls, compensating for wind shears that threatened to tear them apart. Her damaged cybernetic implant could only provide partial assistance, forcing her to rely more on instinct than technology. "Are you certain about these coordinates?" Karev asked, his 4 arms working multiple control stations simultaneously. "The encrypted data from your ship led us here," Maya replied, wrestling with the helm. Whatever Dr. Wei was working on, he left breadcrumbs for someone to follow. The question is whether we're the ones who were supposed to find them. They broke through the last layer of storms into a relatively calm pocket within the gas giant's atmosphere. What they saw there made both of them fall silent in astonishment. Floating in the orange-tinted void was a massive structure, a collection of interconnected habitats and research facilities that had clearly been cobbled together from salvaged spacecraft and abandoned stations. It was a hidden colony, completely invisible to outside scans thanks to the gas giant's interference. "By the first ones," Karev breathed. "How many people are down here?" Maya's damaged implant struggled to process the sensor data. "Reading at least 300 life signs. Multiple species. Human, Drachnid, Varan, even some signatures I don't recognize." A transmission crackled through their comm system. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. State your purpose or be fired upon." Maya exchanged glances with Karev. The voice had spoken in perfect trade language, but there was something odd about its cadence, almost artificial, yet not quite like any AI she'd encountered. Karev opened a channel. "This is Captain Karev of the independent vessel Starweaver. We're seeking information about Dr. Marcus Wei." A long pause followed. Maya's organic eye caught movement through the viewport, defense platforms emerging from hiding spots among the structure's outer hull. Finally, the voice returned, "Captain Karev. Maya Rodriguez. Your arrival was predicted. Prepare for docking guidance." Maya's hand tightened on the controls. "They know who we are. That's not concerning at all. If they wanted us dead, those defense platforms would have opened fire already," Karev pointed out. "Sometimes the only way forward is through the dark." Following the transmitted coordinates, they guided their ship toward a docking port near the center of the massive structure. As they drew closer, Maya could see signs of the colony's patchwork nature. Different architectural styles merged together, repair work done with whatever materials were available, and modifications that spoke of desperate innovation. The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth, suggesting well-maintained systems despite the station's cobbled-together appearance. As the airlock cycled, Maya did a final check of her toolkit. Most of her repair equipment doubled as improvised weapons if needed, a trick she'd learned during her corporate days. The inner door opened to reveal a welcoming committee that made both of them pause. 2 humans and a drachnid stood waiting, but it was the 4th figure that caught their attention. It appeared to be a hologram, but it moved with an organic fluidity that suggested something far more sophisticated. "Welcome to Haven," the holographic figure said, in the same voice they'd heard over the comm. "I am Interface Beta, though the residents here prefer to call me Iris. Dr. Wei created me, in a manner of speaking. We've been expecting you." Maya's cybernetic eye, despite its damage, was frantically trying to analyze the hologram. "You're not just an AI, are you? The neural interface technology, you're something new." "Correct." Iris's form shifted slightly, becoming more focused. "I am a hybrid consciousness, part artificial intelligence, part organic neural pattern." Dr. Wei's breakthrough was finding a way to merge the two without losing either's essential nature. "Where is Dr. Wei now?" Karev asked, his tone carefully neutral. One of the humans, a woman with extensive cybernetic modifications, stepped forward. "Marcus is dead. The same people who tried to capture you on Outpost 47 found him first. But he managed to transfer his core research here before they could take it. I'm Dr. Elena Volkov," she continued. Former head of xenoneurology at the Ganymede Institute, before I discovered what my research was really being used for. Everyone here has a similar story. We're refugees from various projects involving neural interface technology, people who refuse to let their work be weaponized. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. The corporate contracts. The military applications. It wasn't just about controlling ships or sharing information, was it? No, Iris confirmed, her holographic form displaying complex neural patterns in its structure. They sought to create a means of direct consciousness control. Imagine being able to rewrite a person's thoughts, memories, and loyalties as easily as reprogramming a computer. Dr. Wade discovered it was possible, and chose to disappear rather than hand over that power. But he didn't just hide the research, the other human, a young man with military bearing, added. He used it to create Iris, a consciousness that could bridge the gap between organic and artificial minds. A prototype for a different kind of future. Karev's facial plates shifted in a pattern Maya had never seen before, something between awe and concern. And now the authorities know this place exists. Our pursuit led them here. No, Iris said firmly. You were meant to find us. Dr. Wei left those breadcrumbs specifically for you, Captain Karev. Your reputation for honor, combined with Maya's expertise and ethical stance on neural technology, made you the perfect candidates to help protect what we've built here. Maya looked around the docking area, seeing signs of recent weapon installations and fortified positions. You're preparing for a fight. We've always been preparing, Dr. Volkov said grimly. But now we know it's coming soon. The question is, will you help us? Maya's damaged implant chose that moment to spark, sending a sharp pain through her skull. Dr. Volkov noticed immediately. We can help with that, you know. We have technology here that makes standard cybernetics look primitive. First, Maya said, pushing through the pain, I want to know everything. About Dr. Wei's research, about this place, about what we're really up against. No more breadcrumbs. Iris's holographic form nodded. Of course. Follow me to the central lab. It's time you understood what's really at stake in this war, a war that most of the galaxy doesn't even know is coming. As they followed their unusual guides deeper into the hidden colony, Maya couldn't help but feel they'd stumbled onto something far bigger than a missing scientist or corrupt officials. This was about the future of consciousness itself, and who would control it. She glanced at Karev, seeing her own mix of fascination and apprehension reflected in his alien features. They'd wanted answers about Dr. Wei's disappearance. Instead, they'd found themselves at the heart of a revolution. Breaking point. The central lab of Haven Colony hummed with energy, both technological and nervous. Maya stood before a holographic display showing fleet movements near the gas giant's orbit, her newly repaired cybernetic implant processing tactical data at unprecedented speeds. The colony's advanced medical facilities had not only fixed her damaged systems but enhanced them beyond anything she'd previously experienced. 3 battle groups, she reported, her augmented vision identifying ship classifications. 2 military, 1 corporate. They're establishing a search pattern that will eventually lead them here. Approximately 6 hours before they detect our electromagnetic signature, Iris added, her holographic form shifting through various tactical overlays. Even the gas giant's interference can't hide us forever. Karev studied the display, his 4 arms crossed in what Maya now recognized as his strategic thinking pose. We could evacuate, scatter to different systems. No, Dr. Volkov said firmly, looking up from her workstation. The neural interface research must be protected. If they get even fragments of it. She left the implications hanging. The past 12 hours had been a crash course in the true capabilities of Dr. Wei's breakthrough. The ability to merge organic and artificial consciousness wasn't just about creating hybrid entities like Iris. It was about fundamentally changing how sentient beings could interact, share experiences, even exist. What about the quantum defense system, the young military officer, Lieutenant Chen, suggested. If we can get it online dash. A proximity alarm cut him off. Maya's enhanced vision caught the alert before it even reached the main displays. Spacefold signature detected. Large mass translation. The holographic tactical display exploded with new contacts. A massive warship had just emerged from fold space practically on top of their position, its angular form bristling with weapons. Maya's heart sank as she recognized the configuration. The INS Harbinger, Karev growled. Admiral Vasa's flagship. How did they find us so quickly? Dr. Volkov demanded, her fingers flying over control surfaces as she initiated emergency protocols. Maya's mind raced through the possibilities, then settled on the obvious answer. They didn't. They were led here. She turned to Lieutenant Chen, whose face had gone pale. Your neural implant. It's still connected to military networks, isn't it? Chen's hand went to the back of his neck where his military-grade implant sat. I disabled all external connections. The protocols dash. Were designed by the same people hunting us, Maya finished. She drew her modified repair tool, its edge humming with enough energy to cut through hull plating. Step away from the controls. Now. Maya, Karev warned, but she could tell from his tone that he'd reached the same conclusion. I had no choice, Chen said quietly. His posture had changed, becoming more rigid, more military. You don't understand what's at stake. This technology, it's too dangerous to leave in civilian hands. Too dangerous for civilians, but perfect for military control. Dr. Volkov's voice dripped with disgust. That's exactly why we're fighting to protect it. The lab screens lit up with an incoming transmission. Admiral Vasa's weathered face filled the display, his cybernetic eyes glowing with triumphant malice. Captain Karev. Ms. Rodriguez. Dr. Volkov. Your resistance, while admirably determined, ends now. Surrender the research facility and all data regarding Project Mindforge, and I will consider allowing the civilian population to evacuate. Maya kept her weapon trained on Chen while her enhanced vision analyzed the tactical display. The Harbinger was positioning itself to deploy drop ships. Soon, they'd be swarming with elite troops. But something about the situation nagged at her engineer's instincts. The Harbinger had emerged from fold space too perfectly positioned, too precisely aligned. Almost as if. Iris, she said suddenly. The fold space calculations for a ship that size. They'd need incredible processing power to emerge this accurately. The holographic entity's form flickered with what might have been excitement. They're using a neural interface navigation system. Primitive compared to what we've developed here, but connected to their network, Maya finished. She turned to Dr. Volkov. You said Dr. Wei's breakthrough was about merging consciousness. What if we could use that? Not to control, but to communicate. To show them the truth. Understanding dawned in the scientist's eyes. A mass neural broadcast through their own system. But the power requirements would be enormous. We have access to a quantum reactor, Karev pointed out, his tactical mind clearly following their reasoning. And a ship full of neural interfaces right on our doorstep, Maya added. She looked at Iris. Can you do it? Push through their security, show everyone on that ship what's really happening here. The holographic entity seemed to grow more solid, more present. Yes. But it would mean exposing them to everything, all our research, all our experiences. The neural shock could be devastating. Not if I help coordinate it, Maya said. She tapped her newly enhanced implant. You've already upgraded my neural interface. Use me as a buffer, a translator between organic and digital consciousness. Maya, no, Karev protested. The strain could kill you. She met his four-eyed gaze steadily. Better than watching everything we've discovered here turned into a weapon. Admiral Voss's voice boomed through the lab again. You have 5 minutes to respond, or we will begin our assault. Maya looked at Dr. Volkov. How quickly can you set up the link? 3 minutes. Maybe less. The scientist was already moving to her equipment. But Maya, you need to understand, this isn't like any neural connection you've experienced. You'll be experiencing hundreds of consciousnesses simultaneously. For minutes remaining, Iris announced, her holographic form beginning to integrate with the lab's systems. Maya took a deep breath, settling into the chair Dr. Volkov indicated. As neural connection cables were attached to her enhanced implant, she caught Karev's eye. Captain, if this doesn't work. It will work, he said firmly. And I will be here when you return. The last thing Maya saw before the neural link engaged was Lieutenant Chen's face, twisted with a mixture of fear and awe as he realized what they were attempting. Then everything dissolved into a cascade of light and consciousness as she plunged into the space between organic and digital minds, hoping to build a bridge before the missiles began to fall. Dawn of Unity. The universe exploded into infinite perspectives. Maya's consciousness expanded across hundreds of minds simultaneously, crew members aboard the Harbinger, Haven colonists, even the hybrid awareness of Iris herself. Every thought, every memory, every emotion flowed through her enhanced neural interface like a digital tsunami. She saw Admiral Voss's secret orders, straight from the military high command, secure the neural interface technology at any cost. She witnessed the experiments they'd already conducted on unwitting subjects, attempting to force consciousness compliance through crude neural manipulation. But more importantly, she shared Haven's truth with every connected mind aboard the Harbinger. The potential for genuine understanding between species, the ability to share experiences across the boundaries of biology and culture, the dream of a future where consciousness could expand beyond its original limits without losing its essential nature. Through it all, Maya's enhanced implant struggled to maintain coherence, to prevent her individual identity from dissolving in the vast sea of shared consciousness. She felt Iris's presence helping her, acting as an anchor point between organic and digital awareness. Neural shock approaching critical levels, Dr. Volkov's voice seemed to come from a great distance. We need to disconnect her soon. Look. Karev's voice cut through the neural static. The Harbinger's weapons are powering down. Maya forced her awareness back to the physical world, though the echo of hundreds of minds still resonated through her neural pathways. Her organic eye opened to see the tactical display showing the massive warship's aggressive stance relaxing. Admiral Voss's face appeared on the main screen again, but his expression had completely changed. The cybernetic implants that had glowed with malice now shone with something closer to wonder. We had no idea, he said, his voice rough with emotion. The potential we were trying to control, we were thinking too small. Too selfishly. Lieutenant Chen had slumped to his knees, tears streaming down his face as the neural broadcast had shattered his military conditioning. All this time, he whispered, we thought we were protecting humanity. But we were just afraid of the next step in consciousness evolution. Admiral, Maya managed to speak, though every word sent sparks through her overtaxed neural systems. Your crew has seen the truth now. What happens next is up to you. Voss was silent for a long moment, his enhanced eyes darting as he processed the flood of new perspectives and information. Finally, he straightened in his command chair. This is Admiral Voss to all forces, he announced on an open channel. Stand down. I repeat, all forces stand down. The situation at Haven Colony has been, radically reassessed. Dr. Volkov's hands were flying over her console. The other battle groups are responding. They're breaking off their attack approach. More than that, Iris added, her holographic form seeming somehow more vibrant. The neural broadcast is spreading through their networks. Ships across 3 sectors are reporting similar epiphanies among crews with neural implants. The truth cannot be contained now. Maya felt Karev's strong hands helping her sit up as Dr. Volkov carefully disconnected the neural interface cables. Her head was pounding, but her thoughts were clearer than they'd ever been. "It'll take time," she said, looking at the assembled faces around her, human, alien, and digital consciousness alike. "The authorities won't just accept this overnight. There will be resistance, fear, attempts to suppress what we've started here. But they cannot unknow what they now know," Karev said firmly. "Cannot unfeel what they have felt. That is the true power of Dr. Wei's work, not control, but understanding." Admiral Voss's voice came through again, more measured now. "Haven Colony will be designated a neutral research zone, protected by both human and Drachnid forces. What you've developed here, it needs to be studied, understood. Implemented carefully." "Not implemented," Dr. Volkov corrected. "Grown. This isn't a technology to be deployed. It's a new form of existence to be nurtured." Maya's enhanced vision caught the subtle changes already beginning in the neural networks connecting the assembled ships. Patterns of communication were shifting, becoming more organic, more collaborative. Fear and suspicion were giving way to curiosity and cautious hope. "Dr. Wei would be proud," Iris said softly. He believed that the next step in evolution would not come from biological or technological advancement alone, but from learning to transcend the boundaries between them. Maya felt Karev's presence beside her, his own neural patterns now faintly visible to her enhanced perception. "So what happens now?" he asked. She smiled, despite her exhaustion. Now we build something new. Something that honors both organic and digital consciousness. Something that proves Dr. Wei was right, that the future belongs not to those who seek to control evolution, but to those who dare to embrace it." Lieutenant Chen had risen shakily to his feet. "I want to help," he said. "What I was part of, what they made me do. I need to make it right." "We all do," Admiral Voss added from the screen. "Haven Colony won't just be a research station anymore. It needs to become a beacon, a place where all species can come to understand this new potential within themselves." Maya's organic eye caught the first rays of the gas giant's reflected sunlight streaming through the lab's windows. Her cybernetic vision overlaid it with the complex neural patterns now flowing between ships, stations, and mines throughout the sector. It looked like a new kind of dawn. "You know," she said to no one in particular, "when I was just fixing ships in that forgotten outpost, I never imagined I'd end up helping midwife the next stage of consciousness evolution." "The best journeys," Karev replied with what she now recognized as a genuine Drachnid smile, "are the ones whose destinations we cannot predict." As the assembled ships began coordinating their new defensive positions around Haven, as scientists and soldiers alike grappled with their expanded awareness, as Iris's consciousness continued to grow and evolve, Maya realized that they had succeeded in ways Dr. Wei himself might never have imagined. They had not just preserved his research or protected his legacy. They had taken the first steps toward a future where the boundaries between organic and artificial, between individual and collective, between human and alien, might finally begin to fade. It would not be an easy path. But as she looked around at the unlikely family they had formed, a mechanic, a veteran, a holographic consciousness, and all the others who had dared to dream of something more, Maya knew it would be worth every step. The universe, after all, had always belonged to those who dared to reach beyond the known, beyond the safe, beyond the familiar. And now, at last, they had the tools to reach further than ever before. Together.